Hi, my name is Riley Allen. This is my review of Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, Chapter 18, titled Dobby's Reward. So we start off with Ron, Ginny, Ron, and Lockhart walking into McGonagall's office, I believe. Or it's Dumbledore's office. And they basically explain the story about how, they saved the school. And I don't think Mr. Weasley and Mrs. Weasley were freaked out enough that their daughter was kind of possessed by Voldemort. But to be fair, I don't think it's really set in, I guess, that she was possessed by Voldemort. I love that Harry wasn't really going to tell them about Ginny's part of it, because he was worried that they were going to be expelled. I also love that Dumbledore spent the next few minutes tactically sending, one of those words, sending everybody out. First, he sent out Ginny, Miss Molly, and Arthur to take Ginny to the hospital. Then he sent McGonagall out to plan a feast. And then I love that he basically tells Ron and Harry, I told you both that if you broke more school rules, I would have to expel you. And it just shows that even the wise of us oldest and wisest, must eat our words. And he proceeds to give him about 200 points to Gryffindor and special services to the school, which I'm just like, okay, cool. At least it wasn't right at the feast where they announced that Slytherin won. Dumbledore was probably thinking, I did the rug pull last year. I won't do it to them this year. I did it last year. So then he sends Ron and Lockhart out. Also, I feel like Dumbledore could have found someone better than Lockhart. It basically says he knew about Lockhart. Impale on your own sword, Gilderoy. I don't know if it's confirmed or, theorized that he wanted, Gilderoy there so he could be exposed. And I'm just like, if he had the information, couldn't he expose him himself? He's Albus Dumbledore at this point. It is a couple years before he loses his power and prestige. He is the guy. I feel like, if anything, he could have found somebody to teach Defense Against the Dark Arts. Also, he kind of jokes that, they're going through Defense Against the Dark Arts teachers pretty fast. And I just gotta wonder, how long has this been going on? Has it been going on since, the 1940s or 50s or whatever? Is it confirmed or whatever that Tom cursed the, position? And if so, has the curse been going on since, the 40s or 50s? So there's been a new Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher since the 50s? And if that's the case, how is Dumbledore still finding people to take the job? Even the biggest idiot would be like, yeah, I don't like those statistics. And then Harry is worried, he starts explaining that Voldemort said they have similarities, and maybe, kinda. I don't know. Also, Dumbledore proceeds to explain that Voldemort transformed himself, went through transformations to the point where nobody knew that he was the head boy, and I'm just like, I'm now picturing bald, noseless Voldemort before, I don't remember what he's looked like in the books, but I'm picturing the monstrosity from the movie, and I'm just picturing, we all thought, oh, damn, that potion really didn't work, it kind of worked, but it didn't. Now I'm picturing, due to Dumbledore saying that he went through transformations and he was hardly recognizable, that it did work. It restored him exactly to where he was. It was him himself going through all these transformations, creating the Horcruxes and whatever. That turned him into that, not the potion. Anyway. So Harry proceeds to, kind of be worried about Slytherin. I'm just like, damn. Slytherin needs to get a really good PR team because they have people being scared to death about being even accused of being somewhat like a Slytherin. And Dumbledore proceeds to, give him the little pat on the back. You're like, the difference between you as Tom is you chose Gryffindor, not Slytherin, over Slytherin. And if you want proof that you're a true Gryffindor, just look at the sword. And he notices the sword he was using was the sword of Gryffindor. That only a true Gryffindor can pull, which is, cool. I also love during the conversation, Dumbledore didn't talk bad about Slytherin. He told Harry that he had qualities that would have made him do well in Slytherin, his determination. Also, he explains that the reason Harry has Parseltongue is because when Voldemort died, he put some powers into Harry, which is kind of... I don't know if it's ever confirmed, but does Harry lose that power after he kills Voldemort and destroys the Horcrux inside of him? I'd like it if it was one of those things where, sure, technically the ability to speak Parseltongue should have left him when the Horcrux went, but, he's been speaking it so long, or he has had it for so long, that the knowledge just kind of stayed with him. I don't think it's ever been confirmed or otherwise or whatever, but that's the headcanon. He can still speak Parseltongue. Not because he was always able to speak Parseltongue, but because he had the powers for so long. Even if he didn't use them, he retained them after the Horcrux was destroyed. I don't know if it's ever confirmed or not, though. Anyway. So, then Lucius Malfoy pops up with, Dobby, which makes, Harry realize a lot of shit. I also love that, Dumbledore was basically silently threatening, Malfoy through their entire conversation. It seems to me that some of the governors were under the, impression that you were threatening to curse their families. But I'm sure that wasn't what happened, Malfoy? And I really do believe that you shouldn't hand out any more of Voldemort's school things. It might be unfortunate, and Arthur Weasley might come for you. Can you just imagine what would have happened if young Miss Weasley was actually, caught? Arthur Weasley's daughter killing Muggleborns and Muggles. That would have ruined Arthur Weasley's bill to protect the Muggles and Mugglesborns. Wouldn't that just be awful, Malfoy? I just picture all this going on while Dumbledore has a shit-eating grin, just that would be a shame, Malfoy? Yeah, it would be a shame, So Harry proceeds to help free Dobby in a weird-ass way. He puts the diary in the sock, and Malfoy takes the sock and throws it away, and it hits Dobby. And I'm just like, the house elves are the kings of loopholes, because that really shouldn't work. I'm kind of under the impression, the master should hand the sock and be like, this is, closed. This is closed, you're free now. But, does that mean Malfoy has to do his laundry himself? Because, I'm just picturing him, using a washing machine, shit, I forgot. They were out of my good detergent. Damn it. Shit, I forgot to separate the whites. I like that shirt. Yeah, but, that that is really stretching the master has given Dobby a sock. Like, I also like to imagine that Lucius threw the sock in a completely opposite direction of Dobby. Dobby saw the sock and he straight football tackled, like, straight yoinked himself in the direction of that sock to catch it. He proceeds to kind of get mad that he lost his slave, and Harry, and Dobby saves Harry again. Then there's the celebration, they meet up with Hermione, and Hagrid's back, and we find out from Ginny that the thing that she witnessed to Percy, was him kissing his girlfriend, and she's like, oh, you won't tease her, right? Tease him, right? And Fred's like, of course not, he said, looking as if his birthday had come early. Also, I do love that he hands the phone number to Ron, and, I think it's Hermione says, well, your family will be proud. Proud? All the times I could have died and I couldn't? They'll be disappointed. And I'm just like, how are people not concerned about this? Do they just all think that Harry has a really dark, dry sense of humor? Are they just all thinking like, damn, that Harry Potter, he's got a really dark sense of humor, always joking about his family, wishing him dead. Nothing peculiar about that. I also like to imagine that, so this is basically all this chapter has, the yearly Dumbledore-Harry talk. And I like to imagine he has a calendar just, Xing off the days until he has to have that dreaded yearly conversation with Harry. And it's just like, and it also has a notebook, a notebook, of all the plot points he's going to talk to Harry about, And I just imagine, him noticing the Horcrux. And, him being like, shit, next year's convocation is going to suck. Like, obviously he doesn't know about the Horcrux, but I'm just imagine for, like, just a second, imagine he does, sees the Horcrux, and just be like, ooh, shit. I hope Harry doesn't ask about that. But, like, he doesn't, so, and Harry doesn't ask him Harry doesn't really ask any questions this year, and I bet Dumbledore is, like, silently absolutely happy, because, like, whew, that was a close one. I was really close to spilling the beans about everything. If he'd have just asked me, like, a question kind of pointedly, I'd have probably spilled everything. Also, good news, the Dursleys were only mentioned this chapter. They didn't really pop up. So that's great. It's always a wonderful time when they don't show up. Also, it was mentioned that Malfoy was fired from the board of directors. Or the governor's board. That's great. I really enjoyed this chapter. It was a nice, rounding out the book chapter. It, finished the book in a well-meaningful way, and it sent us off with all the happy feelings, because Dobby's not a slave anymore. Yay! Malfoy kinda got his comeuppance. Yay! Nobody died this book. Yay! I'm gonna give this chapter a solid 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching the video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you want, and I'll see you in the next video.